Welcome to Milwaukee Brewers Spring Training. It's Jeff M. here with you in Phoenix, Arizona, joined by the man you know, Sounds manager Rick Sweet. Sweetie, it is March. We are talking at spring training. That can only mean one thing. A Sounds season is right around the corner. How's the spring been so far?
You know what? Well, I haven't been here that long, number one. I've only been here about 2 weeks. I missed the first 4 weeks, but we're ready to get to Nashville because the weather's probably better there than it has been down here. It's fun to be here. Spring training is always a fun time. It's a little condensed this year, but you know, with the World Baseball Classic, it's pushed everything back. But we're ready to get going and get home.
Well, we know every day matters at this time of the year as far as roster construction. So we know things are in pencil, not pen. But as you look at what the Brewers have done over the winter, who's under contract, who's new, who's back, it seems like there are going to be not just some, but a lot of names that Sounds fans are going to know from that very special team you had last year.
Yeah, last year was a special year, and we should have a lot of guys back. And most likely we will, just because we re-signed so many people. The amount of people, that's going to be determined by them up there. They still really, it's very fluid in the big leagues. And they've got to figure out here within the next 3, 4, 5 days which direction they're going to go with several people.
That season last year, division championship, we know it didn't end the way you guys wanted to in Las Vegas, but such a unique group. What was it about that group that maybe there can be at least a component of that again this year? You're never going to fully replace that group entirely because it was a unique AAA team, but I think there's a component of that that can be underlying again this year. Do you agree?
Oh, without a doubt. And I think that starts from how we constructed the team. You know, we talked about bleeding Sounds all year, and we have a blood drop, and that's kind of the team theme. And you know, we have a chat, a What's Up chat, group chat, and we left last year's chat together. And I've started a new one this year for the 23, just because last year was so special. But therein lies part of that connection. A lot of guys will be on 22 and they'll be on 23 also, and keep that thing going.
Late last season, you had such a dynamic group position player-wise. You'd already had Bryce Terang, you added Garrett Mitchell, Sal Frelick, Joey Wiemer. Ruiz has since been traded, but that group was so dynamic. Some of that may be in Milwaukee at the start, certainly somewhere along the line, that whole group could be in Milwaukee, but the type of team that you had at the end of last year, it seems like some of that will translate to this year. Some of those guys, just because you mentioned the logjam, there may not be room for all of them in Milwaukee on opening day.
Yeah, and that's what's going to happen. And I think what's important for me and for the Nashville Sounds is number one, we are moving guys to the big leagues, and we are. But number two, it's important that we have guys down below in Double-A that are going to be good ball players that we can bring in to replace them. That was the key last year. You talk Wiemer, Frelick, Mitchell, especially when we did that line change, Ruiz came in. It's like it reinvigorated the whole team. Well, we got guys in Double-A this year that are the same way. And it's kind of interesting that I wasn't sure about that till I've seen the younger guys play, and now I feel a lot better. Like, okay, even if when I lose 2, 3, 4 guys, I got guys down there that can play.
Depth gets brought up a lot. No team wants to be without it, but it truly feels like the Brewers have a good amount of that, as they yet again this year, for good reason, have high aspirations for what they can do in win total.
Well, I think what we do, we also do a great job of signing 6-year free agents. You know, you look at some of the free agents we signed for last year's teams, Almonte and Singleton, guys that really became main cogs for us. Well, we've done the same thing this year. We just had 9 guys sent back to us a couple days ago, and they still have probably another 6, 7 guys they've got to send back to get their squad to their 26 numbers. So, you know, we're going to have a fun group, and it will be off of last year's team, because you don't lose that totally when you have that kind of clubhouse.
Yeah, I mean, in Nashville, the question this time of year always is, well, what's the team going to be like? There's no reason to think it's not going to be a really good group because of all the names we've already mentioned and just the depth. There's not room for everybody in Milwaukee.
Well, there's not. We get our group back. We got a group behind us that's coming up. You know, I don't see one thing that I say, oh, I'm really worried about this. I don't see one area like that. I see a lot of what we had last year coming back. You know, I think a big addition, is funny, it won't be a guy that plays for us. Josh Lindblom has been hired as a coach, and he's going to spend the primary part of his coaching or time will be in Nashville with us. He'll spend a little time in AA, and he'll spend some time in the big leagues to help the transition for young players. So Josh is going to be a big plus for us too. And you talk about bleeding Sounds, he bleeds Sounds.
Yeah, it felt like he was already a coach last year. Now it's an official capacity.
He was. If you know where his locker was, my locker was right here, and right outside my door was Josh Lindblom. The amount of eye contact we had during the day was, we kind of look at each other and like, he'd go, hey, that told me he needed something, or I'd say, hey, come here, and he'd come strolling by. And so he was a coach last year.
Final topic, at the big league level this year, the pitch clocks are new. You guys were the testing ground last year. We saw it play out, have an impact in various ways. The shifting is new for everybody this year. 2 on the left side of the infield, 2 on the right. You can't put the second baseman in shallow right. Fans are getting to see this play out. From your perspective in spring so far, what have you noticed about how teams have to play defensively now?
It's going to add a lot of offense to the game. It's going to be a lot more fun. The throwovers we had last year to first, but I think that's now we're starting to like, okay, we're going to have more steals this year, which we had last year. We led the league. But I think the biggest thing is it's going to increase the offense. Now we just got to cut down the strikeouts throughout the game, not just us, throughout the game, and put more balls in play. But I've already seen more balls hit up the middle that last year, for whatever reason, we're almost always caught, but guys can't go now. It leaves that up there. If they both want to shift to the middle, that's fine. That leaves the corners really open. So I think it's going to add a lot to the offense.
Defense becomes important, speed becomes important. It feels like the Brewers, big league level, and for your projected team, are structured well to play well in the new format.
You're a pretty smart guy, you know that? Now you and I
get that on tape.
You and I haven't talked about that. You and I haven't talked about that, and you're right on. You are right on. You cannot hide a guy now somewhere up the middle that maybe wasn't, because we position them so well they can get by. You can't do that anymore. You got to be an athlete now. Middle infielders are talking about, I heard Carlos Correa talking about how much he's going to enjoy this, because his range now is going to have to make it even a bigger point. So you know, I think the game, you know, I'm old school, but I like all these changes. I loved the clock last year, 2.5-hour games. You know, we were, I think it's just good for everybody in the game.
Yeah. You called me smart. You also were looking at my eyes when you used the word athlete. I think that was unintentional, but that was also a nice compliment.
Well,
Thank you so much.
as I get older, I can block things out, you know.
Great to see you. Thank you. And can't wait to see you in Sounds colors here in about a week.
Yep, it's coming quick, and I'm ready.
Sounds manager Rick Sweet from Brewers Spring Training. Sounds baseball right around the corner at First Horizon Park.